Assassin's Creed is one of the most notable franchises when it comes to fans being divided among the series. There is a very vocal group that fell in love with the series in the late 2000s, a world based loosely on historical events alongside mystical elements with the pieces of Eden that the Assassins and Templars have been fighting over throughout history. This group can't help but feel neglected by the recent trilogy of games that seem to focus more on large-scale open worlds and RPG mechanics than the original vision of stealth and hiding in plain sight. On the other hand, the new vision of Assassin's Creed brought in an entirely new audience, with the most recent games of Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla selling more copies than any of the originals. The fans of the newer games seem to be the largest part of the AC fanbase these days, and these fans love the open world RPG gameplay of Assassin's Creed, filled with large combat scenarios, seemingly endless missions to complete, and a shiny level next to your character's name. I've always found myself in the former group, preferring the focus on stealth combat over announcing myself and charging into battle. I've played the newer AC games and enjoyed them for what they were, but I've always felt that the recent entries were missing something. The sort of magic that made me go from, yeah, I like these games, to remembering them as some of my favorite games ever made. It's not uncommon to see fans of the newer games say that classic fans are just blinded by nostalgia, and that the new games are objectively better. So I wanted to put that to the test. Were the old AC games actually better? Or am I just blinded by nostalgia? To answer that question, I jumped into the game that made me fall in love with the Assassin's Creed franchise. This is Assassin's Creed 2. Assassin's Creed 2 begins with a new protagonist, Ezio at the Torre de Firenze. A ladies' man, working for his father by day and living life to the fullest by night, completely unaware of the true life his father lives. Ezio witnesses a tragic betrayal resulting in the death of his father and two brothers, and spends the rest of the game trying to avenge his family's deaths and hold to account those responsible. Before his father's death, he tells Ezio to enter the hidden door in his office and take everything inside the chest. These items include the iconic assassin robe and hidden blade. Ezio's father was an assassin, as well as generations before him, unbeknownst to Ezio. Ezio doesn't formally become an assassin until Sequence 11, the very end of the game. But throughout the story you are quietly trained and mentored by other assassins, including your Uncle Mario, until they reveal themselves as assassins and formally initiate Ezio into the Order. I'm mentioning this because I found myself complaining about the recent games, saying things like, you won't even play as an assassin. While it's technically true here for most of the game, it was done with a sense of care and respect. There's a gradual growth throughout your playthrough where other assassins mold you into a true assassin. Whether it was the courtesans introducing social stealth by teaching you to hide in plain sight, or when you learn assassinations from ledges or cover, it's all building up to the moment when you're ready to finally take that leap and join the Order. Compare this to Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla, where they either don't exist yet or are seemingly only there to check a box. Looking at you, Valhalla. While I enjoyed the story of Assassin's Creed 2, I think the tone of the game and world are the most captivating aspects. It's hard to put into words, but there's a sense of respect and reverence in this world that's missing in recent entries. When Ezio first begins assassinating his enemies, he's full of rage and seeking vengeance. But after taking out Vieri and yelling in a fit of rage, Mario is there to guide him. Mario teaches Ezio to show respect to those he has slain. He teaches him the way of the assassin. And from here on out, after every kill, Ezio has some sort of wisdom he spills out as he says goodbye to his enemy, and always ends the same way. I get chills every time I hear Ezio say, "Requiescat in pace." I honestly didn't even remember if Valhalla had post-assassination scenes, and it's the most recent AC game I played other than Mirage. It turns out it did, but they seem to just be here out of obligation. Some of them just feel like they boil down to, LOL, got another one. In Assassin's Creed 2, you are one small part in a war that has spanned for centuries. While you have the goal of avenging the death of your family, Ezio grows to realize that there are bigger things at stake here. Whether you side with the Templars or the Assassins, you're just one assassin doing his part in the greater conflict. Every victim is a necessary casualty to accomplish your goal. Ezio respects the life of his enemies, even though he knows he needs to take that life from them. And that level of respect and reverence makes the world feel more grounded in reality, even with the magical pieces of Eden being the items that the Assassins and Templars are fighting over. It feels like in AC2, Ubisoft created rules or expectations for the world and followed them, and the new games just don't feel like they abide by those same rules. For example, the Apple of Eden lets you bend people to your will, which is made up magic, but those are the rules of the world. But then I play Valhalla and learn that me and the people in my life are all reincarnations of Norse gods, and it just doesn't feel like it fits. And then I watch videos of Valhalla DLC and it just seems like the world went over the deep end. How can I take your game and world seriously when it doesn't seem like the creators do? I get why Valhalla ended up the way it did. Making Assassin's Creed an open world RPG brought in a ton of casual fans. Casual fans that are there for the combat and leveling up the character aren't interested in the 8 games of story they missed out on. It makes sense to make the stories more lighthearted fun and not intertwined in deep lore, but the change in tone from classic Assassin's Creed to the RPG games is really what made the series lose its magic to me. When it comes to combat, I'm not going to pretend that the old games were better, but I will argue that the settings and situations you find yourself in are better. AC2's melee combat literally comes down to holding block, waiting for an enemy to attack, and pressing counter kill. Rinse and repeat until everyone's dead. Unless you're like me and continuously mistime the counter as your health slowly whittles down. But the thing is, melee combat is such a small thing in my mind when I think of this game. It's not that you're never in melee combat, but it is far from the reason you're playing. I think of the way the game makes me feel. The journey Ezio took from the beginning of the game when he was an innocent young man witnessing the murder of his family, till the end when he's a master assassin who finally avenges those who wronged him. I think of the targets I took out sneaking in a crowd of people, before striking my target, dropping a smoke bomb, and escaping before anyone realized what happened. The melee combat in the new Assassin's Creed games are objectively better. When I played Valhalla, I liked the melee combat. It was probably the best part of the game. The problem was that I didn't want to be in melee combat. When I play Assassin's Creed, I don't want to blow a horn to announce my arrival before having a full-scale battle, or take part in a literal war like in Odyssey. And that's where the disconnect lies. Having the name Assassin's Creed in the game sets an expectation that has not been met in a long time. You can't plaster the name on your game to boost sales and not expect fans to compare your game to others in the franchise. I sometimes say they're good games, but bad Assassin's Creed games. However, if they're marketed as Assassin's Creed but aren't delivering an Assassin's Creed experience, at some point, they're just bad games. I know it may seem that all I have to say is old AC good, new AC bad, but I do want to clarify that I don't necessarily think that's true. It depends when you draw the line at old versus new Assassin's Creed. At this point, I played all the mainline games, but there was a point in time that I was burned out on the franchise. When Unity launched as a broken mess, I never finished it, and then skipped out on Syndicate before playing Origins and Odyssey on Game Pass years later. Going back to finish Unity and play Syndicate, it was refreshing to experience a classic-style Assassin's Creed for the first time. But I still didn't love those games. I didn't connect with them the way I did with the Ezio trilogy. The same could be said with Assassin's Creed Mirage. Ignore the fact that it was originally going to be Valhalla DLC but was turned into a standalone game because money? I really enjoyed the classic gameplay formula in a modern built game, but it still didn't have that magic to me. I had fun, but once it was over, I moved on to the next game and forgot about it. Assassin's Creed 2 is a game I'll never forget. For a long time, when I played the newer games, I was thinking about AC2, Brotherhood, and Revelations, thinking I should go back and play them again to see if they were really that good or if I just remember them fondly since I was a kid when they came out. And I'm glad I did, because after revisiting Assassin's Creed 2 in 2024, I can confidently say that it's not just nostalgia. There was something special about Assassin's Creed back then, something that's been lost along the journey to where we are now. And anyone who disagrees with that needs to go back and play this game again. Nostalgia can only take a game so far. A great game will live forever.